Often, peace of mind is not lost to a great tragedy, but to a small moment that we carry for too long. A difficult conversation, a mistake, a harsh word, it quietly follows us, replaying in the mind. Each time it returns, the feeling grows until the day itself feels heavy and peace is already gone. When we hold on to these moments, we begin to feel everything all at once, and it becomes a form of suffering. You may have been told to feel your feelings, to sit with them until they pass. But what if stillness is not found by feeling more, but by understanding why you feel so much? What if the path to healing is to quiet the echoes before they become a storm? The steps you are about to hear are not rules to follow, but ways of understanding. When practiced gently, they allow you to let go so that calm has room to return. The first is perhaps the simplest, for it begins not with struggle, but with a quiet observation. Before we can find stillness, we must understand the source of the noise. If you have ever felt that you are too emotional or too sensitive, know that you are not broken. This way of being often comes from roots that are deep and real. First, there's the way our brains are wired. For some, the world simply arrives with more intensity. Their nervous systems are more finely tuned, processing information and experiences more deeply. You might notice the subtle things others miss, but this also means you feel emotions, both joy and sorrow, with greater force. This is not a flaw, it is a trait of your awareness. But it can mean that stress and conflict drain your spirit more quickly. Then, there are the experiences we have carried. A life of chronic stress, in a demanding job or a difficult relationship, can leave the nervous system in a state of constant watchfulness. When the mind is already tired, even a small disturbance can feel like a crisis. Past hurts can also teach the brain to see threats everywhere in an effort to protect you. Your mind is trying to keep you safe, but its system of protection is working overtime. Finally, there is the simple habit of becoming the emotion. For many, when a difficult feeling arises, there is no space left. You do not just feel anger, you become the anger. You do not just feel sadness, the world becomes sad. This is what allows a feeling to stay, replaying the event, justifying the story, until it feels like an immovable truth. Feeling the emotion isn't the problem, it is this cycle of holding on and overthinking that keeps you stuck. But you can break this cycle. It begins with a single, gentle pause. The first and most powerful practice is to create a small space between a feeling and your reaction to it. This is the mindful pause. When a wave of anxiety or frustration appears, the instinct is to react or to push it away. The pause offers a third path, to simply notice, without judgment. Here is how to practice it. The next time a strong feeling arises, stop what you are doing. Take one deep breath. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4, out for 4, and hold for 4. This is sometimes called box breathing, a simple way to help the body soften. And as the body softens, the mind follows. In that small moment of quiet, take a mental step back. Label the feeling. Simply say to yourself, this is the feeling of anger, or I am noticing anxiety is here. This is not an act of judgment, it is an act of recognition. The feeling is no longer, I am overwhelmed, but I am noticing the feeling of being overwhelmed. In this small change of language, a great freedom is found. You are no longer lost in the emotion, you are the one who is aware of it. It is the difference between being caught in a storm and watching the storm from a place of shelter. Once you have created that space, the next step is to decide what you will fill it with. For many who feel things deeply, the first response is criticism. We feel angry, and then we judge ourselves for feeling angry. This is the teaching of the second arrow. The first arrow is the difficult feeling itself. The second arrow, which causes the real suffering, is the one we fire at ourselves. The second arrow is optional. The antidote is self-compassion. This is not about making excuses. It is about treating yourself with the same gentle presence you would offer a good friend. When you are in the midst of an emotional storm, instead of judging the feeling, you can meet it with understanding. You can say to yourself, it is okay to feel this. This is a difficult moment, and this feeling is a human response. Responding with kindness, rather than harshness, has been shown to quiet the mind and ease feelings of anxiety. It stops you from adding fuel to the fire. If a friend came to you in pain, you would not tell them to get over it. You would offer them your quiet support. It is time to offer that same grace to yourself. Inner cruelty creates inner noise. Kindness quiets it. A great deal of what we feel is not our own. For those who are sensitive, it is easy to absorb the feelings of others. You walk into a room and feel the stress that is there. You listen to a friend's troubles and carry their sadness with you. Without gentle boundaries, you become a sponge for the world's emotions. To set an emotional boundary is to recognize that you are responsible for your own feelings, but not for the feelings of all others. It is learning to limit your time in places or with people that consistently leave you feeling drained. This may mean spending less time on social media if it brings you anxiety. It may mean saying no to an event when you know you are already tired. This is not selfish, it is wisdom. It is essential for preserving your own peace. To practice this, begin by simply noticing. Which people and places leave you feeling heavy? Once you are aware, you can make quiet choices. You may not be able to avoid a stressful workplace, but you can take a quiet walk for 15 minutes afterward to let the day fall away. You cannot control others, but you can control how much of your inner peace you give away. Difficult emotions are not your enemies. They are messengers, signals from your mind and body that something needs your attention. Anxiety may be telling you that you feel unprepared. Frustration may be a sign that a boundary has been crossed. The purpose of these feelings is not to cause you suffering, it is to invite you to look closer. But when we get stuck in overfeeling or overanalyzing, we hear the signal on repeat without ever listening to the message. Once you have used the mindful pause to quiet the immediate reaction and met yourself with kindness to avoid judgment, the next step is to shift your attention. Ask a quiet question, what is this emotion trying to tell me? And then, what is one small step I can take to care for this? Usually, you don't have to do much with the feeling. Just smile at the feeling and move on. If you feel overwhelmed by all you have to do, the practice is not to dwell on the stress. The practice is to choose one small thing and do only that. This moves you from a passive state of enduring into an active state of gentle care. You remember that while you cannot always control the first wave of emotion, you can choose how to respond to it. The final practice in quieting the noise of difficult feelings is to intentionally make room for quiet, positive ones. This is not about pretending everything is fine when it is not. It is about building your inner resources so that you are more steady when challenges arise. The work of psychologist Barbara Fredrickson suggests that while negative emotions narrow our focus to a threat, positive emotions do the opposite. Feelings like gratitude, joy, and awe broaden our awareness. They build our strength over time. How do you do this? You make space for it, intentionally. Just as you make time for work, you can make time for peace. This could be a daily gratitude practice, where you notice 3 simple things that are here. It could be a small act of kindness for another person. It might mean spending a few moments in nature or listening to music that quiets your mind. These are not small things. They are gentle, steady ways of building your resilience. By making small, consistent deposits of peace into your life, you create a quiet upward spiral. Healing does not come from ignoring your feelings, nor does it come from allowing them to consume you. It comes from learning to hear their message without letting them take over. It is about creating space with a pause, meeting yourself with kindness, protecting your energy with gentle boundaries, listening to the message, and making room for peace. These are not rules to be perfected, but companions to walk with. The more you practice them, the less power the cycle of overfeeling will have. The storms will still come, but you will find they pass more quickly. You will begin to feel less like a victim of your emotions, and more like the quiet, steady awareness that can feel them without being defined by them. What is one small way you can make room for calm this week? If you feel moved to, you might share your practice in the comments. It may be a quiet inspiration for another. And if this reflection brought you a sense of clarity, consider subscribing for more on meeting your inner world with steadiness and peace. Thank you for listening.